The room was packed. Bright studio lights beamed down, cameras rolled, and the audience sat on the edge of their seats. This wasn't just another debate or political discussion. This was a moment of confrontation. Karoline Leavitt stood at the center, radiating confidence, her presence commanding the attention of everyone in the room. Young, fearless, and unapologetic in her beliefs, she had made a name for herself by standing firm in the face of criticism. But tonight, she wasn't just facing tough questions. Tonight, she was being tested. The host, a well-known liberal TV personality, leaned forward with a smirk, his voice dripping with condescension. "Karoline, you talk a lot about unity, but isn't it a bit ironic that you wear that necklace?" His eyes flicked to the small but unmistakable cross resting just above her collarbone. The audience murmured, sensing where this was going. He didn't need to spell it out. The message was clear. Faith like yours doesn't belong in the public space. Karoline met his gaze without flinching. "Why would it be ironic?" she asked, her voice calm but firm. The host leaned back in his chair, acting casual, but ensuring every camera in the room was locked onto him. "Because faith, especially your kind of faith, is divisive. Some people see that cross and feel excluded. Don't you think it's time to move past outdated symbols?" The murmurs grew louder. Some audience members nodded, others exchanged glances. But Karoline didn't react the way they expected. She didn't frown, she didn't backtrack, and she certainly didn't apologize. Instead, she smiled just slightly, as if she had been waiting for this moment. She reached up, lightly touching the cross on her necklace, then spoke. "This isn't just jewelry. It's not a fashion statement. It's a reminder," the host scoffed. "A reminder of what?" Karoline took a slow, deliberate breath. "Of who I am, of what I believe in, and of the strength that got me here." The room fell silent. Even those who might have agreed with the host found themselves intrigued. There was something about the way she carried herself unshaken, undeterred, that made people listen. The host wasn't done, though. He saw his moment, a chance to make her fold in front of millions. "But don't you see? That symbol, it alienates people. If you truly believe in unity, why not take it off? Right now. Show everyone that you stand for inclusivity." A hush fell over the room. The challenge had been issued. Karoline glanced at the cameras, then at the audience, then back at the host. Slowly, she straightened, her posture radiating nothing but quiet strength. And then she gave her answer, the answer that no one in the room would ever forget. For a moment, the room was frozen in silence. The challenge hung in the air, heavy and unrelenting. The host's smirk widened slightly, certain that he had cornered Karoline Leavitt. The camera zoomed in, capturing every flicker of emotion, every shift in her expression. Millions of people were watching, waiting to see what she would do. Would she hesitate? Would she cave under the pressure? Karoline didn't rush. She didn't react with anger or defensiveness. Instead, she let the silence stretch just long enough to make everyone feel it, to make the weight of the moment settle in. Then she did something no one expected. She reached up, gently clasped the small cross between her fingers, and turned to the audience, not just speaking to them, but speaking for them. "You want me to take it off?" she asked, her voice steady, clear. "Because someone, somewhere, might be uncomfortable." The host leaned forward, eager to press the moment. "Exactly. If it means making people feel more included, wouldn't it be a small price to pay?" Karoline tilted her head slightly, considering his words not as a politician looking for the right answer, but as a woman who had spent her life standing firm in her convictions. Then she exhaled, slow and deliberate. "You see," she said, "this isn't just a piece of metal. This isn't something I put on for the cameras or to make a statement. This is a part of me. It represents my faith, my resilience, and the values that shape how I treat others. And yet, you ask me to take it off as if those things are removable, as if my faith is something I should be ashamed of, something I should hide. The audience was utterly still. Even those who had initially sided with the host now seemed conflicted, drawn in by the conviction in her voice. Karoline took a step forward, her gaze locked onto the host's and wavering. "But here's the real question," she continued. "If I were wearing a different symbol, one that fit into the mainstream narrative, would you ask me to take it off? Would you challenge me to erase that part of myself? Or is it only this faith that makes you uncomfortable?" A ripple of murmurs spread through the audience. Some nodded, realizing the double standard. Others whispered, recognizing the depth of what she was saying. The host shifted in his chair, momentarily caught off guard. He had expected resistance, maybe even anger, but he hadn't expected this. A composed, unshakable woman exposing the very flaw in his argument without raising her voice, without breaking a sweat. Karoline pressed on. Unity isn't about making everyone the same. It's about respecting differences without demanding they disappear. If my faith offends someone, that's not on me, that's on them. Because true inclusivity doesn't mean silencing people. It means allowing everyone to exist as they are, to believe as they do, without fear of being erased. A sudden applause broke out, hesitant at first, but quickly growing louder. Some in the audience nodded in agreement. Others sat in stunned silence, processing the gravity of her words. The host opened his mouth, searching for a counterpoint, but Karoline wasn't finished. She turned back to face him directly, her voice softer now, but no less firm. "You asked me to take it off as a symbol of unity," she said. "But unity built on forced conformity isn't unity at all, it's control." The applause swelled. The moment had shifted. What was meant to embarrass her had only elevated her. And as the cameras captured every second, one thing became clear. Karoline Leavitt had just won the moment. But the battle wasn't over yet. The studio was electric. The applause had started as a murmur, uncertain and scattered, but now it was undeniable, echoing through the room, growing stronger with every passing second. The liberal host, who had moments ago sat with smug confidence, was now visibly unsettled. He had walked into this exchange expecting to humiliate Karoline Leavitt, to force her into submission, to make her question her beliefs in front of a national audience. Instead, she had done something far more powerful. She had owned the moment. But Karoline wasn't done. As the claps died down and the room fell back into silence, she let the weight of the moment settle. Then she stepped forward, her voice calm yet unwavering. "You wanted me to take this off because you thought it was just a symbol, just a piece of metal," she said, gently holding up her cross necklace. "But faith isn't something you wear. It's something you live. It's not just for Sunday mornings. It's for every single day. It's what gives me the strength to stand here and have this conversation with you, even when I know the world is watching and waiting for me to break." The host leaned forward, trying to regain control of the discussion. "But don't you think that wearing it so openly, so publicly, might make others feel excluded? That's the point I'm making." Karoline smiled, shaking her head slightly. "No," she said. "The point you're making is that in order for the world to feel included, I have to be excluded. That in order to make others comfortable, I have to be uncomfortable. But real unity isn't built on people hiding who they are. If we're going to talk about inclusion, then let's talk about it honestly. Because true inclusivity is not asking someone to erase themselves for the sake of others." A stunned silence filled the studio. Some in the audience exchanged glances, Others nodded in agreement. Even those who had come in skeptical of her had to admit she wasn't just defending herself. She was exposing something much bigger. Karoline continued, her voice steady and measured. "You want to know why I wear this cross?" she asked, her fingers grazing the necklace once more. "It's not to force my beliefs on anyone. It's not to make a statement. I wear it because it reminds me of something bigger than myself. It reminds me of grace, of love, of the responsibility I have to treat people with kindness, even those who don't agree with me. And if this simple necklace challenges you that much, then maybe it's not me who needs to do the reflecting." The audience was still, as if collectively holding its breath. The host blinked, momentarily speechless. He had come prepared with every argument, every counterpoint. But what do you say to someone who speaks with such clarity, such conviction, without an ounce of hostility? Karoline took one last step forward. "I won't apologize for my faith," she said. "And I won't take it off to make anyone else feel more comfortable. Because true strength isn't found in hiding who you are, it's in standing firm, even when the world tells you to sit down." And with that, the moment was sealed. The audience erupted into applause, not polite claps, but genuine, resonant applause. It wasn't just about politics anymore. It wasn't even just about faith. It was about standing tall in the face of pressure, about refusing to compromise on what truly matters. People in the crowd were on their feet, clapping, nodding, some even wiping away tears. The host, defeated yet visibly humbled, sat back in his chair. He had no comeback, no sharp response, nothing left to say. Because in that moment, Karoline Leavitt had done more than defend herself. She had reminded everyone watching of the power of conviction, of grace, and of the courage to stand firm in a world that constantly demands you to shrink. And as she walked off the stage, cross still gleaming around her neck, one thing was clear: this wasn't just an interview. This was a defining moment. A moment that would be remembered. A moment that would inspire countless others to stand tall, to be unshaken, and to never, ever be afraid to show the world exactly who they are. Because real strength isn't in hiding. It's in standing firm. And Karoline Leavitt had just shown the world exactly what that looks like. What do you think? Should anyone be asked to remove a symbol of their faith, or is standing firm in your beliefs the true test of strength? Let me know in the comments. And if you want to hear more powerful stories like this, don't forget to subscribe to the channel.